Well, thank you very much, Madam President, and thank you very much to everyone who's stuck with this debate through a very cold, very long evening. And I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who's contributed to both sides of this debate this evening, because we've heard passionate personal experiences, and whether I agree with the arguments or not, what I want to do is acknowledge the passion, the experiences behind those arguments. Now, it's traditional to start these things with a contemporary reference, and my second speaker for the opposition did the Beyonce thing. Now, popular culture isn't really my thing. You might notice I'm fighting a bit of an election at the moment. And so I believe in a work-life balance, but I don't have one. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to draw my contemporary reference from politics rather than culture. So you'll probably know what I mean when I say that, no, I didn't arrive here in a pink van or a cerise or a magenta one. And what I want to say about that is we've heard a lot of different versions of feminism. Painting pink things pink is not feminism. And I entirely agree with Harriet Harman when she says that it's absolutely tragic that 9.1 million women who could have voted in the last election didn't. But I don't think painting the ballot boxes pink is going to make any difference to how many women vote in the election. And I am going to use this pulpit, as I use every pulpit at the moment, to say to everybody, the coming election, make sure you register to vote, and to vote because that's important to the women and men of this country and its future. But I'm going to start off by saying the final speaker from the floor for the opposition. I respect her passion and her experience, but I don't agree with her at all that this debate is not important. It raises really important issues that we need to discuss. And I want to agree with the second speaker for the proposition that we need to acknowledge that in feminism, we all bring different experiences. We've experienced different stresses, varying configurations and intensity of discrimination. And this is where I date myself, I actually date to the era BT, before Twitter. And in those days, I was the curator of what was the blog Carnival of Feminists. And blog carnivals existed before Twitter, and it was the way that people who wrote about the same kind of subjects found each other's blogs and made contact with each other. And one of the things that I very much noticed then, when it was BME, women, bloggers who were experiencing different forms of discrimination, not just as feminists, but through other identities, who I saw disappeared from the blogosphere much quicker. And I saw that they often disappeared after they'd suffered an enormous amount of abuse, an enormous amount of the kind of thing that we now call trolling. Well, I don't think we'd invented the word then. Now, I think the second speaker for our opposition presented some really powerful arguments about the women he's known for whom feminism has been a powerful tool. And I did just want to share with you my experience of a few women who I've known. In Thailand, there was Kunjing Sapatra Mazdit, who was a true Democrat and who was 15 years or so ago being billed as possibly Thailand's first female Prime Minister. She wasn't, but she was using feminism to promote the cause of Thai women, and that was really important to her. I was in India, working on a report on women's health with a whole lot of women working with the WHO, for whom feminism was a critically important tool in trying to improve the position of women in India. And more recently, and this is a campaign I'd really urge you to follow on Twitter and get involved with, it's the Three Cosses campaign. And these are the cleaners at the University of London, mostly women, and they started off fighting a campaign for the living wage. And against the odds, they won that campaign. And they might have sat on their laurels, but they've gone further. And the three cosses, and apologies for my pronunciation, but it's Spanish for three things. And they're now, having got the living wage, are now demanding equal pensions, holiday pay and sick pay as the academics are getting. And they're asserting their rights as women to decent working conditions. And I think feminism is an important power for them. Now, the second speaker for the proposition said that there's lots of umbrellas of feminism. And there is, and there needs to be, and there should be. But we can have this one big principle of feminism that all of those other umbrellas can sit underneath. And that, I think, is really important. And I've got one proposition to introduce, and I know as a third speaker I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because for me, what feminism is, it started when I was 5 years old. And I'd never heard the word feminism. I wouldn't hear it for another decade. But when I was 5, I was told, because you're a girl, you're not allowed to have a bicycle. And I thought, my 5-year-old self thought, that's just not right. And that's the foundation of my feminism. And I believe that's a feminism that women all around the world, through the centuries, long before the word feminism was invented, women used, experienced, felt feminism. So I think we're really important when you're thinking about how to vote, when you walk out of those doors. Feminism is not a single move, is a whole centuries-long movement. It's not a single organisation. It's not the Fawcett Society. It's not Feminista. It's not South All Black Sisters. It is a movement, an idea that's existed through the centuries. No one can hijack feminism. It's existed through millennia. It exists for everyone. We need to acknowledge, celebrate all of those feminisms all through the centuries, all in different communities, in different places around the world. And there's a responsibility within feminism that says you should help other women. And that, I think, is one of the cores of feminism. Help every woman who you possibly can in every kind of way. And of course, that's not just a responsibility for feminism. It's a human responsibility that lies with everybody. So I urge you to vote against the proposition. Feminism is simply too powerful, too strong, too important to be hijacked. It's a principle, an ideal, and philosophy that every one of you should hang on to, celebrate, and practice. Thank you.